Surf fishing varies from place to place. This instructional video focuses on Bonita Beach at Bonita Springs, Florida, but it will give you a good idea of what to look for when fishing at any beach. Bonita Beach is a beautiful place to go, but is very populated, especially during spring break. I don't recommend fishing at the main area of Bonita Beach. You can find access points along the road, but there is limited parking, so you have to get there early in the morning or later in the evening.
So we always like to fish in the early morning during the low tide. And our theory's always been you come out during the low tide, and during the high tide, the water starts coming in and it starts bringing the fish in. So that's how we've always done it. Like I said, I don't think there's a right way or a wrong way or correct time to go really fishing, as long as you get your bait out there and have fun.
You can identify a low and high tide from the tidewater line on the beach, just by how the beach looks and where there may be seaweed that washed up. You can easily find what time of day the tides will be high and low from any local fishing website.
Now what I like to do is look for the sandbar or any kind of troughs, and if I can see a sandbar, and you can tell where the sandbar is because the waves are gonna start crashing a little far out, and that means they're riding over top of the sandbar and then they're cresting at the end, and that means that the water's getting a little deeper where the fish are gonna be.
When the waves are breaking out in the water, that means that they are going over a sandbar, which is a high section of the ocean floor, making the water shallow. The waves build up, go over the sandbar, then the ocean floor drops, getting deeper, and that is when the waves break. This area is called a trough. Fish will be in that area because the water is deeper and the waves are churning the bottom, bringing up food for the fish. Right in front of the sandbar is a great place to throw your line.
So when I was looking at some Google Maps and looking at the beach, it gets a little trenchy, and then there's a sandbar up there, and then it gets deep again, and it runs like the entire length of the beach. I also like to look for things like the fish highway, and that's where maybe two sandbars are sort of side by side, but there's a nice little opening, and you can always tell because the waves break on the left, waves break on the right, and then the waves aren't breaking, and that means that there's a bit of a cut going through in between the sandbars, and the fish can actually swim in and out of that area called the fish highway. See, the sandbar is just right out there, so there's a nice little trough running right in front of us where it's nice and deep. And I think right over the left is where the sandbar is breaking, and then another one is forming again. Right over like 50 yards down. Or I could totally be wrong. But see where the waves aren't breaking over there on the left. See where my finger's pointing.
Holes are also a great place to throw your line. You may be able to see where the water is darker in color. That means that the water is deeper in that particular area. These holes offer great protection for the fish from birds and larger fish predators, allowing them to feed. In this Google Earth photo, you can see that there are holes past the sandbar. If you are willing to wade out in the water to cast your line past the sandbar, go for it. But make sure to drag your feet so you don't step on a stingray. Lastly, if you are having a hard time reading the beach, I recommend throwing out your line at different distances to see where the fish are biting, which is called zoning. First, start with short throws, then gradually increase your distance, or vice versa. When the fish start to bite, you found your spot. If the fish are not biting, don't be afraid to move up or down the beach. However, please watch out for people swimming and beach walkers when you cast here at Bonita Beach.
Well, that's going to wrap things up here for fishing in Bonita Springs off of Bonita Beach. So thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe, like, and ring that bell for future notifications. You have yourself a wonderful day fishing.